Before we start this video, a large thank you to Ken, Nate, Jake, Tim, a name I unfortunately cannot pronounce. Thank you for the support, my friend, and Peggy for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And a massive thank you to Slim Shaggy for their immense support to the channel on Patreon. You are greatly appreciated, my friend. Hello guys, this one comes as a request from a viewer. So let's talk about frame data and animation canceling. So on the screen here now, you'll see a picture of an S-Dock, and this is taken from Dark Souls 3. And the data I have here is from a man named Altimore on the Dark Souls 3 subreddit. He posted this, and I just kind of put it down to a picture and made it a little bit easier to understand and read. So what we have is the startup frames, which is basically how long or how many frames the attack has before it becomes active and can damage you. And then we have the active frames from 26 to 30, which is basically how many frames the attack can damage you for, and this is on the R1, so the light attack. And then we have the can roll cancel, can move cancel, and can combo cancel frames. So the can roll cancel is, as it suggests, is when you're able to actually break the animation and roll instead of waiting for it to end. And this is what makes the combat in Souls feel a little bit more sped up, because if you just spam the dodge button during your attack, you'll actually break out of it earlier than you normally would if you just wait for it to end. Then we have can move cancel, which, as it suggests too, if you try to move during the attack, it will break out earlier at this frame, as opposed to waiting for the animation to end so you can move. And lastly, combo cancel is something we've already covered in the series. It's just when you can end the animation and instead kind of translate into another attack animation in the form of a combo. So we're going to cover roll canceling in this video. Move canceling will be done in an identical manner, so if you guys want to implement that, you can. You can use the logic that you have taken from this video today and do the same thing. And I want to state that before we continue, this is the last viewer request before we actually start converting the project to multiplayer and netcode, and I want to warn you guys ahead of time that is going to be a lengthy process. And the videos will be quite long, so if you want to skip over that, you can, unless we have more requests from viewers. If we have more requests before we do that, then I'll cover those requests first. So if you guys want to see me cover something before we start multiplayer, now will be the time to ask. Alright, anyway, let's jump in. Okay guys, let's start by going to our character animator manager. That is the first stop we need to make. And we're going to basically add an allowance that will allow us to interrupt animations, very similar to the combo. So let's go to the play target action animation first, and wherever you're playing animations or whatever, however many of these functions you have, you need to add this. So you can see here we have a few things like can rotate, and it's automatically set to false. We're going to add one for can roll, and this won't break your code because we're going to automatically set it to false. But this is very important. Wherever you have this function being called, if you want to be able to roll, you need to go and find the function and set this to true. So after we've done that, we need to actually create a bool on the character manager that will basically tell us if we can roll or not. So we're going to call that can roll as well. So this needs to be in the base class, but you want to have it for your AI as well, or any other character for that matter. So I'm going to put mine under can do combo. I'm going to call it public bool can roll. Now, like every other action, we need to reset this to, but before I do that, I'm going to initialize that true so you can roll when the game starts. We need to reset this after every action animation, so we need to come to our reset animator bool, and this is called after every action animation because it goes back on the empty state. And we need to say here character.canRoll is equal to true. I'm breezing through this pretty quickly because this is all familiar ground to a lot of you, I'm sure. Let's save that. Now let's go back into the project here, and we need to do a few more things. So right now, roll, there's no way to actually call this animation event. So let's go and create a virtual void here in case you want to change it on your player class, but I'm not ever going to change it. So let's call it enable can roll. Optionally too, if you want to, you can call it enable roll cancel, because this is an animation cancel event. It won't be called on any other normal means. But I'm going to call it enable can roll because it is the same thing. And I'm going to say character.canRoll is equal to true. So this is the animation event you want to call. And I want to be clear, you want to be careful where you place this because it will drastically alter the feel of your game and the speed. So this is going to take some playtesting really to figure out where you want to insert and what you want to do. But before we continue with that and placement, let's go to the player locomotion. Let's go over to handle rolling and sprinting. And we're going to simply say here, when we check for the roll flag, after you reset your roll flag, what we want to do right below that is just simply say, if player cannot roll, then return and break this code. So we're no longer going to be checking via is interacting. Now we're going to be checking if we can roll, because there may be certain situations where you want to be able to roll when you're interacting, like when you want to roll cancel. So open up your animation and let's go through animation events here. Let's take a look. So what we got here is we can rotate, so we can rotate during our attack for a single frame. And then we disable it there. And then we have enable can be parried, and then we disable the can be parried. And then we're actually activating our attack frames here, draining our stamina, and then closing our attack frames and enabling our combo. For some reason, my combo is enabled before my closing damage clutters. I'm going to switch that. That's not where it should be. There we go. Okay, so we have the enable combo here. Now I'm going to wait a frame or two after I can combo, and then I'm going to enable my roll cancel. So I'll just put it right here, just for the demonstration purposes. Now go and find your function. I have a large drop down. If you're using FBX files, which is way better instead of anim files, you can just type in the function name. It is honestly so much easier. That's what I do with Nephilim. I'm probably going to redo that in this series eventually too. Just use those instead of the animation files, because there's a lot going on here. Here it is. Enable can roll. So insert that right there, and that is your animation cancel. So at this frame, you are now able to cancel this action with a roll. It's really quite simple. So we can close this now, and then if we hit play, we actually can't do it. So jump back into the script and disable or delete, the checking for is interacting, because we're no longer checking for is interacting. We're only checking for the can roll. Likewise, back on your play target animation, make sure you say character.canRoll is equal to whatever the can roll is in this function when we call it. Alright, and after all that, we can go into the project and test it. So I'm going to spam the roll button while I'm light attacking. So I light attack, I spam the roll button, and there you go. I break the animation earlier. So that is working as intended, and that's a very simple approach to animation canceling, and in my opinion, the best approach to it, at least that I can think of. If you guys did it differently, please let me know how. So basically, if you want to do the move cancel, you do the exact same thing as I just did now, but you set up a can move bool. And when you move and you detect movement, you want to make sure you're also playing the empty animation state again. So, or else you'll just basically slide and move around while the animation is still playing. So again, just do the exact same thing, but also just make the animator play the empty animation state when you begin moving if you want to move cancel. So, if you guys made it this far, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment. It does genuinely help with the series. I know I sound like a broken record when I say that, guys, but it really does. I want to thank you guys for liking the videos constantly and also leaving comments. Genuinely appreciate you. And like I said, if you want to see something before netcode begins, because once I start, I'm not going to cover any other subject until it's finished, let me know below. So I'll see you guys in the next one.